Hey guys, how the hell are ya? It is now January 29th as you guys are watching this. There's tons of great new releases that are coming out today, so I can only imagine things are going to get very, very interesting for next week's episode as well, because this week's episode was kind of tough to make. There was tons of great music that came out last week, and with your permission, I'd like to go over a little bit of it here because even though I want to talk about my album of the week, I felt that there was so much good stuff that came out. I wanted to talk about a bunch of honorable mentions, I guess we can call them. But in reality, there's maybe another album or two in there that is also an album of the year contender for me. I always make a list throughout the course of the whole year for all of my favorite records that come out. So that way, when it comes time to do a best of list for the end of the year, I've got a lot to pick from. And this last week, there was some great stuff. So first of all, I will say that there was a handful of new releases that came out last week that I expected to be way better than they actually were. I'm not going to really dive deep into them, but some pretty big names came out with some new releases in extreme metal last week, and if you're not going to hear me talk about them, that might be one of them. But yeah, there was also some really great stuff that came out. The new Asphyx record came out. So Martin and co. are still flying the old school death metal flag very, very loudly and proudly, and they are kicking ass. This record, Necroceros, was probably one of the best records that they've come out with in the past several years. It was absolutely mind-blowingly great. Definitely check that out, please. In addition to that, there was, Ectomorph came out with a new album. Now, here's the thing about Ectomorph. Ectomorph is a band I love to hate. And yet, I want you guys to check out the new Ectomorph record, the horrible cover art and the horrible guitar tone notwithstanding, because in my honest opinion, it's seriously the best music that they have come out with, to the point where it still bears mentioning them in like a best albums of the week kind of thing. You guys should definitely check this out. This new record from Ectomorph was awesome. Le Chance Denial was a really, really incredible blackened metal release. Definitely very, very extreme stuff on here. This French black metal band, they have been putting out some great stuff over the last few records, and this one is no exception. Really easy to digest melodies, but yet still super blackened metal, super extreme, super evil sounding. And yet, here again, it was an incredible record, but still not quite album of the week. Labyrinth came out with a new record, Welcome to the Absurd Circus. And Labyrinth has been an Italian power metal band that I've been into for quite a long time, ever since I received the Timeless Crime EP to check out way back in the day. Great band, and all their talents are on full display on this record. Some of the best production and mixing that they've had on their career, and honestly some of the better songs that they've had on their career too. Definitely worth giving this a listen if you dig the progressive and power metal stuff. Holy Mother came out with a new record. You want to talk classic, sort of borderline power metal kind of stuff. Mike Torelli, he the vocalist of Messiah's Kiss, used to kill it with this project. Some incredible members of this band, kind of a super group back in the day, honestly. You had the likes of Randy Coven on bass, rest in peace. You had the likes of John Macaluso on drums, an incredible drummer. If you don't know him, you definitely need to listen to the likes of Ark. He's a fantastic drummer. But here we are. It's 2021. Holy Mother has reunited. They're back. They came out with a new album. Cover art's a little dated looking, and honestly, even some of the sound contained therein is a little bit dated. But if you like your metal classic and kick ass like this. Like, totally for fans of the likes of Accept and Judas Priest, but also of all those great killer, like, late 80s, early 90s power and heavy and thrash metal bands. This is definitely something worth checking out, and I would highly recommend it. Face This Burn is such a great record, and honestly, you know, here in 2021, it's honestly kind of refreshing to hear something this classic and this well done. This next record that I'm going to talk about was almost my album of the week. There's this band from Scandinavia that put out their second record this last week. They're called Cray or Kreia or something along those lines. I can't remember the correct pronunciation, forgive me. They came out with their new record simply called 2. If you like AOR, if you like arena rock, if you like the kind of stuff that bands like Toto and Journey and Night Ranger and that sort of stuff have put out in the past, but you want to hear sort of modern musicianship doing it with sort of modern mix engineering and just a crisp tonal palette, incredible record. I could not stop listening to this record, and truthfully, I almost made it my album of the week, but in the end, there was a clear winner that I couldn't stop listening to even more, and that is the new record from Grima, Rotten Garden. So I love black metal. It's kind of been a recent thing in the past few years. I've sort of rediscovered my love of it, and I've rediscovered that there's all these different subgenres and subgenres of black metal where you can definitely pick out that there's a certain vibe coming forth from the music. And Grima is one of my favorite bands that has this sort of paganistic, nature-inspired vibe to it. It's extremely atmospheric. It is definitely the soundtrack to a fucking glacier sliding along. And what I mean by that is not to say that it's like doomy kind of slow, but it is slow and kind of marching along kind of pace on a lot of this material, but still extremely atmospheric, perfect for just walking through the forest at night, wondering what sort of like demonic spirits and entities are inhabiting that forest. This sounds ridiculous for me to even say it, but that is totally the vibe that you get from this band. And I say this band, it really is a two-person project of a couple of twin brothers who are also members of a few other black and metal bands out of their native Russia. This is kind of their, I guess you could call it solo project, because it's really just them who are the official members. They are also members of a band called Altar, and Altar's drummer handles the drums on this, and meanwhile the brothers handle everything else: guitar, bass, keyboards, and vocals. It is a massive wall of sound. It is extreme, but it is super melodic. It just envelops you and it infects you with a certain mood to it. And I almost don't want to even tell you any more about it, because I just want you guys to go to your streaming services or go to Bandcamp and actually check this out for yourselves. Absolutely incredible stuff from a band that keeps getting better and better and better with every release. And please understand, I'm not throwing this around lightly that this is my album of the week, because I totally recognize that there was some other incredible releases that came out this week. But this ultimately just took the cake for me. It's such a killer new full length from these guys. Rotten Garden by Grima. Please go check out this record. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another Album of the Week special. I'm going to keep this going as much as possible. I'm also going to get caught up on a lot more review videos for you guys. Thank you so much for your patience while I've been battling COVID the last several weeks. I'm now honestly all better. I'm still testing positive, but I'm literally 100%. I'm full of energy. I'm full of life. I've got no symptoms whatsoever. I just kind of want to get back to life in general now. And part of that is that I'm going to catch up with all this stuff I've been meaning to do on this channel. Tons more metal and guitar-oriented content to come for you guys. So remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and remember, please, take what you do seriously, but do not take yourself too seriously.